So this week we had to deal with the one word that every horse owner just absolutely cringes at when they hear, that awful C word that makes us lose sleep at night with anxiety. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably thinking, ooh, that awful C word, Alyssa, what are you about to tell us? And if you have horses, then I'm sure you probably know exactly what word I'm talking about, because when it comes to horses and animal care, if something bad can happen, it probably will. And at some point, you're probably going to need to deal with something like this. And what I am referring to is colic. So I didn't really get much of this on camera because in an emergency, you're definitely not worried about videoing anything. But I did want to share some of this because I think it's really important for all horse owners to be aware. So we were outside working and we noticed that Maverick was laying down a little bit more than normal, and he was sweating a lot more than normal. And when we walked up with treats, he didn't jump up, and we knew that something was wrong. When we finally got him up, we noticed that he had absolutely no stability or energy to even really hold his head up, and he just kind of wanted to drop back to the ground. We checked his heart rate, it was normal. We checked his temperature, it was normal. But as soon as he started rolling and twisting around on his back on the ground, we pretty much knew exactly what this was, and we called the vet immediately. So the term colic in horses just basically means abdominal pain. And many of you are probably familiar with children who have colic. And with children and colic, it isn't considered to be a life-threatening issue. But with horses, it can potentially be fatal. So colic can be caused by a blockage in their stomach, something that they can't pass, a twisted gut, a gas buildup. It can be caused by so many different things, but oftentimes a horse will colic for no apparent reason, and for something that's as simple as too much stress, or even just a change in their environment or a change in their feed. But colic varies greatly in severity. For example, a horse may have a mild bout of abdominal pain that can be resolved with a single dose of medication. But oftentimes, colic can lead to surgery or, unfortunately, euthanasia. So all instances of colic in horses should always be treated as a potential emergency, and veterinarian assistance should be an immediate thing. So I wanted to share because there are many different forms of colic, but most horses will display very similar symptoms, like anxiety or depression or being lethargic, rolling around a lot or wanting to lie down a lot, lack of or infrequent defecation, poor appetite or water intake, excessive sweating, abnormal high pulse rate. There's many different signs, but those are going to be the main symptoms that a horse will display. And so if you didn't know, little fun fact, horses actually cannot throw up. Their long necks pretty much make it impossible for them to vomit when they're in a state of gastrointestinal distress. So one thing that's really important to know is when a horse is colicking, it can be dangerous for them to lay down. So you have to try to keep them upright until the vet arrives. And one of the best practices is trying to walk them. Walking them is one of the best ways to relieve the built up gases that are in their stomach. So while you're waiting for the vet to arrive, try to keep them up and try to keep them walking. So when the vet arrived, Maverick was already severely dehydrated and we couldn't even get him back up off the ground. So we had to put a tube in his stomach to force feed him the electrolytes that he needed to stay hydrated. And then we gave him pain medicine, a sedative, and antibiotics. We are very thankful that we are extremely familiar with the habits of all of our animals, and we were able to notice that Maverick was acting weird almost immediately. But we're even more thankful for our amazing vet, Dr. Deborah Sieber with Barnside Veterinarian Services. When we called Dr. Sieber and we told her what was going on, she dropped everything that she was doing immediately and rushed out to our emergency call so quickly that she hardly even had time to throw her boots on. I cannot even begin to tell you how much that means to horse owners like us. We have never met a vet with such extreme care and compassion before, and we just cannot say enough good things about her. This situation could have potentially been fatal if we did not know our animals' habits and we chose to ignore the subtle signs and symptoms that Maverick was displaying, and if Dr. Sieber didn't get out as quickly as she did. So we just wanted to keep you updated on what was going on the farm. We are currently following Dr. Sieber's recommendations with regards to medication, feeding, and activity levels, and we are going to continue, obviously, to watch carefully for any reoccurring signs of abdominal pain. But it seems that the scare is over, and after one sleepless night full of anxiety, Maverick seems to be back to his normal self. So I wanted to make this video firstly to keep you guys updated with things that are going on the farm, but also to make you guys realize that owning animals is not just all cute, adorable, cuddly, fluffy things. Potentially life-threatening issues can happen in a matter of minutes, and it is so important to be familiar with your animals, their personalities, and their habits so that you can understand and know the second that something is not right. When you can see it in their eyes and you can feel it. It's the same with any animal. So my tip for anyone that owns animals is have your vet on speed dial so that you don't have to waste a single second searching for the number, so that you don't have to risk wasting any time and the issue getting potentially worse. So if you're local here, we definitely highly recommend Dr. Deborah Sieber. When it comes to colic, the most important thing to know is there is no real substitute for vet care. If you suspect your horse has colic, don't wait to call the vet. We are so grateful that this didn't end badly, and I hope that this video can help bring a little bit of awareness to how important it is to pay attention and know your animal's habits and personalities so that you can be sure to catch any life-threatening or potentially dangerous situations as early as possible.
You okay? I'm so glad you're better.